Good evening and welcome to Collegiate iRacing League.
Tonight we are out here at Suzuka International Raceway out here in Japan. Nick and Matt up in the booth with myself as well. Josh Crane and CiL coming to you from a little bit rainy and cloudy tonight, guys, here in the Speedway. And you can see there it is pretty dreary and a little bit very gray actually on your screen. But these drivers here tonight, about 20 cars or so, as we have some GT3 racing on tap and currently underway for qualifying. The alumni trying to get their laps in. We know tonight it's a little bit humid. It's not too hot. In fact, there's about 0 sun, so that track temperature a little bit cooler than we've been seeing, 112 degrees. And Matt, I didn't think I'd say that 112 degrees would be on the cool side for us, but I suppose it is summer, and we've been doing a lot of racing in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, absolutely. This track is definitely one of the best in the world, most well known in the world, I should say. Excuse me. But racing here tonight in the CIL. Just a reminder for all of those folks tuning in tonight that we will have 2 races here tonight, two 25-minute heat races. The qualifying that we're going through right now, and it is on your screen, that will set the grid for the first race of the evening. Second race of the evening will be set by a top 12 invert following the results of the first race. So if you finish 12th in race 1, for the second race of the night, you'll be starting on pole position, and if you won the first race, you'll be starting 12th. So, interesting dynamic between race 1 and race 2. But Zach, this track, what can you tell us about Suzuka International Raceway?
Well, Suzuka in itself is actually a pretty interesting track. Japan does not have a lot of ground to go off of, so Suzuka is actually a very complicated figure eight. You start off at turn 1 as we watch Ted Burns take his lap here. Let's just go through a quick lap. He's coming down the main front stretch right now, heading into the long turn 1. If you're a fan of Formula 1, 1990, Ayrton Senna and Alan Prost had a really big collision there. Moving on into the world famous S's. Some people say these are the best corners in the world. I I think that opinion is pretty much fair. We got Ted Burns just coming right through these corners. Is never going to move out of the S's into another set of really difficult corners into Degners. And then moving on through, you have Spoon and also the world famous 130R. A very big mix of tight corners, slow corners, fast corners. These cars, a lot of passing opportunities, but the track is also not very wide. If you have to make a move, it has to be calculated.
Does need to be calculated. There's a lot of time that these drivers have to set up their moves, but it's not a super wide track, a little bit on the narrow side, and Suzuka we know is pretty technical and it's different. All 3 sectors have pretty different personalities. Nick, I think you hit it on the head as we watch Ted go through the area. This is going to be Spoon that you mentioned. He's going to complete his final flying lap right now, and this is a long turn. You want to get on the gas just the right time, lest you upset the car, especially that Audi R8 that he's got. We know those cars are nimble, and with great power comes great responsibility. You want to get the car rotated at the right time, but not too much, and this is what you said, Nick. Right down here in the 130R, you can see probably flat out once the tires are warm, then it's going to be all the way down. Another famous Senna Prost landmark right there as we go right and then left and then a little bigger right, and that's going to be Burns and the University of Wisconsin. Coming down to clock that final lap. And Nick, I think you said it, that all 3 sectors here have really different personalities, and so you can be in quite a nice rhythm through the S's, but then all of a sudden you might be having to pilot the second where it's a little bit trickier, and the corners are much more acute and almost pasted together, whereas the S's flow, the second sector not so much, and then at loads of courage as you ride on here with Andrew Williams and the University of Clemson machine, that 23 car. He's going to try and get a little bit of tow, Matt, as he goes through 130R and try and complete this qualifying lap.
Yeah, as the second 10 minutes of qualifying rolls on, students are just coming on their outlaps. Looks like they're spreading themselves out a little bit, making sure they have all the room in the world they need to get a fast lap without catching any traffic. But through the final chicane here, Andrew Williams, I believe he's starting his first flying lap. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but alumni qualifying just ended. Ted Burns, as we saw on board, with top of the timing sheet right now with a 159.883. But these students very quick, and I would expect to see some of these times come thick and fast for the students.
Yeah, Burns actually from Wisconsin, the lone alumni to break that 2-minute barrier with a 159.88. But we'll see a lot of these times, and maybe some quick ones as these students come through and put these times in. And we had a couple conversations about Porsche. I actually was able to speak with Max Bowie from USC, Southern California earlier. And he said, I started in the Porsche. It was not the car for me, so I switched to the R8. And he said it really, really fit well. And this is a track, as we see a good save from Andrew Williams right there to keep that car on track. It is tough. We were hearing drivers that had to compensate their car for that fast 130R corner and then had to make sacrifices in other parts of the lap just for that one corner. So, Matt, you mentioned it. It's not a well-known track for no reason. It's a big draw, and it's a big challenge for these drivers.
Yeah, I think especially being able to see all the historic footage from this track and all the moments this track has produced in history through F1s, even Super GT racing in Japan, some of the amazing moments this track has produced. It's definitely a privilege for some of these drivers to be able to experience this in iRacing and get to drive the track that some of their racing heroes drove on in the 90s, early 2000s, and even up into today. But Andrew Williams on a pretty smooth lap here. I've been watching him as it looks like someone goes off in front of him. I think that might be
That looks like
someone. Michael Tognati. But yeah, it looks like Andrew Williams really smooth here in the Porsche. But Zach, what have you seen so far out of these drivers through their first flying lap from the student qualifying session? Who do you think is going to be some of the faster drivers in the student class tonight?
Well, as I look through the field here, I think Justin Roberts, Thomas Crump, and those two have really been on it the whole season so far this year. Ryan Whitlock, he's also always fast here. He's fast and road. But if I was a betting man, I don't think a student wins tonight. I think an alumni wins this race. The alumni, they're old seasoned men. They know how to get it done. I think they may throw it down tonight.
Yeah, I remember other people having.
Yeah, alumni, pretty stout field in their own right. We talked about Ted Burns, recent graduate from the University of Wisconsin, and he was able to go through and races now at Kelly Moss Road and Race up in Wisconsin. Max Bowie as well over as a skilled geodesic driver in his own right, sim racing. So yeah, not too far off with the estimation there that we will certainly have a good stack up between our alumni class and then our student class as those two races are carried on simultaneously here tonight. And then Jamie Lawrence, we know that he likes to come in, feel out the car rapidly, and then make a charge to the front. So I think it's going to be loads of excitement. And I think that everywhere we turn, we're going to see some racing action on the track.
Yeah, it looks like as these qualifying times come in, looks like the field's super tight tonight. Ted Burns still on the top of the timetable as we look at Justin Roberts here making his way through the Degnard corners and that Clemson machine. But yeah, the spread right now through the field, maybe from first all the way down to fifth or sixth is maybe a second, just splitting them. So I expect to see some close racing here tonight. I expect to see some bold overtakes, especially into 130R. If you are willing to do it, you definitely can overtake into that corner, but it takes the cooperation of the driver you're trying to pass. But overall, we're seeing some quick lap times coming out of these cars so far as we take an onboard look with Thomas Crump from above, going through the S's right now behind his Clemson teammate. Zach, we've been talking a lot about Clemson teammates tonight, and throughout the season, we really have seen Clemson cars kind of move their way towards the front of the field. I know you are pretty close to a lot of the Clemson drivers. What can you tell us about kind of their preparation and their work for tonight?
Clemson this season has really taken everything to a new level. Being the team principal of Clemson's now combined effort with some other friends called Orange Wheel Racing. we prepare a lot, pretty much for every race. Lots of practices, lots of collaboration on setups, lots of collaboration on team strategy, and the overall scope is to get a car in victory lane every week. Now, in oval side, it's been productive with Thomas Toomey, and road side, it's been productive this year with Thomas Crump, Justin Roberts, Hagen Johnson. A lot of cars up near the front, a lot of cars winning, a lot of fruit of the labor. I do expect to see some Clemson cars on the podium tonight, but I do know that these guys have put in the hours and have put in the effort to really show out tonight, and I'm expecting to see that as well.
Yeah, as we stay on board here with Justin Roberts going through, looks like the Degner corner, as you can see as sector times there, compared to Hagen Johnson. Looks like it's not updating or something, but come through the hairpin now. Car choice, I think Josh was mentioning earlier, the Porsche and the Audi, both kind of debatable whether which car is going to be better. Is the Audi going to be better with its rotation? Is the Porsche going to be better just its all around downforce characteristics and ability through the corners? But one of the other popular cars in the series, definitely the Lamborghini. Super good in the straight line. Obviously expect some Italian speed out of that machine, but Justin Roberts getting a little loose in the spoon corner. But Zach, cars in this series, if you choose a car in the first race, you have to stick with that car for the rest of the season. Drivers who change their manufacturer from race to race do incur an end-of-line penalty for the first race of the night. So, for example, if we saw a driver take the Porsche in the first race, as we see Hagen Johnson spin his Porsche out in turn one, if a driver goes from a Porsche to a Lamborghini from race to race, that driver is going to take an end-of-line penalty. And I'm not sure if we have any drivers doing that tonight, but I know in the past it has been a factor in some of these races.
It is a known factor. I do know that some people have played the game of they want to race a different manufacturer every race. I know Sean Campbell used to do that a lot. But a very interesting thing for the GT3 cars was the massive update that just came out 2 weeks ago. Really revamped the way the aero affected GT3 cars. And I know before then, Porsche was the king of the road. Porsche could just simply almost not be beat. But now, it's an open game. A lot of people are saying the new Mercedes is the car to beat, but right now the new Mercedes is not allowed in the league yet, as we're trying to feel it out. As for the existing cars, it's still anyone's game. No one's certain who is second best because it's right now to determine best is not allowed. But I do know that a lot of drivers' talent will take over the car's ability.
Yeah, it's always going to be a dance between the drivers and their machinery of choice. The new AMG Mercedes going to make its CiL debut in season 6 here as we go through the midsection of our season. But yeah, these drivers certainly, we know that the BMW strong as well. But iRacing usually on point with the balance of performance of these cars, and no exception tonight is, yeah, I don't know that this track, I mean, we talked about the different sectors, so you could have a car that really enjoys one sector of the track and portion of the track, and then you have other cars in a similar boat on other areas. So it will be a bit of motor car racing tonight. I think that we'll have a pretty fair shot for all involved. I don't think that there's one manufacturer here that's very much best suited to this. So, gentlemen, if we see somebody running away with the race, I would look pretty quickly at the driver.
Indeed. I do notice from the makes, our top 4 cars is an Audi, a BMW, an Audi, and a Lamborghini. So it's definitely a good mix. Not one is pulling away. So it's pretty much going to come down to talent.
Yeah, and you can see as we ride on board with Athena Leclerc there again. That's a couple cars that we've seen just in that wall there. That's the second sector. That's where you come up over the hill, and then you are turning 2 right turns. Very, very sharp triangular corners there. And so being able to come in and get those right, you're going to see a lot of cars taking those curbs as we go to grid now. Qualifying completed, but we will see a lot of cars taking those curbs aggressively. And guys, I think we are going to see a couple drivers that may do a 360 or a loop there, since that is one of the trickier parts. Up on your screen right now is the grid, the starting grid. We talked about that time. The only sub 2-minute lap with a 1:59.88. That's Ted Burns in the Wisconsin machine. Clemson University's Hunter Hadesty will roll off second. Third place will be Maximilian Bui coming back for a league race from the University of Southern California. That's USC. Thomas Crump from Clemson University will be in fourth place. Fifth place, Clemson's Justin Roberts, followed by Hagen Johnson in sixth place. Andrew Williams in seventh place, and Ian Brown from Mesa Community College in P8 going to roll off tonight. P9 and 10 going to be a couple of Clemson Tigers, Andrew Burrell and Michael Tognati, and then we have Nicholas Daly from Texas at Arlington rolling off 11th place. Alex Hallinar, P12 for Binghamton University up in the New York area. Rolling ahead now, you can see Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College and Alexander Pacini from Santa Maria Federal in P14. P15, Auburn University's Daniel Rodriguez, one of our eNASCAR drivers as well, and Jamie Lawrence from San Diego State University. Going to feel at that car and see how far he can push up to the front. Making a CIL debut from Elgin Community College, Alex Kogos in that 60 machine. He's going to roll off P17. 18th and 19th from the University of Alabama at Huntsville is going to be Jordan Rike and Ryan Whitlock. No strangers to the front of the pack. Going to try the last to first challenge this evening, guys. Again, about Alabama at Huntsville. And Matt, I'm looking forward to this one. We've got a stacked field. I'm really excited to see Jamie Lawrence try and crawl up Daniel Rodriguez. I'm really excited to see if Ted Burns has an open road right now, Matt. And we know he's got the pace. He certainly got it tonight. And I'm really excited to see if we just see some stellar laps from that Audi machine. We know Ted likes that Audi.
Yeah, Ted's always quick around tracks like this. As we see from the blimp cam here, our drivers have started to take to the last corner under the pace car, getting ready to go green here at the CiL GT3 Challenge here at Suzuka. But it should be a great race tonight. I think we got a bunch of good drivers starting in the back of the field who are going to be wanting to make their way to the front. But Josh, as they come around the last corner and the pace car pulls into the pits, take us away for the green flag.
That's correct. Ted Burns going to lead him down, waiting on the green to come down. You can see Maximilian Bui just behind, ready for that flag, and Hunter Hadesty on the outside. So the green flag in the air. Good jump for Ted Burns. That's the benefit of the control car. You can see Max Bui, he's going to try and sneak in there, but he's got to defend that inside line. 2x2, they go down to the inside. Enough fog here in Suzuka as they go through turns 1 and 2. These drivers trying to make their way across and just get through safely. It is tricky with the camber that way, as you can see right there. That's the back up with Ted Burns to the front, and it looks like P2 will be the geodesic driver. That's going to be Max Bui from USC. And so 2 Audi R8s at the front straight away, but these cars behind them, everybody getting single filed out as we go through the S's. Not quite a passing zone, but sometimes it ends up that way on the first lap as these cars nose to tail a little bit through the mid-pack. You can see here Hunter Hadesty trying to work, we talked about, on that second place car of Bui. Down through, you see they get really slow for this corner and then back up, and it's a race down around this quick right-hander and into the hairpin. And these cars slow right down and close right up as they get into this gap. And so you can see the Clemson presence up front, and a lot of solid drives trying to get started. It's the first of 2 heat races right now, and so these drivers trying to figure out this track, trying to figure out their cars as well. Everybody nose to tail first lap.
Yeah, as we look on board here with Andrew Williams for Clemson University coming through that iconic spoon corner in the back half of this track. Drivers staying single file for now, kind of feeling each other out. Looks like a little patience is required here at this world-famous Suzuka track. As we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, not the widest of tracks. You know, plenty of passing zones, but you have to be careful. It's not like some of the modern Formula One tracks where you have a little bit of asphalt runoff on the side of the track. You see a spin up in front on the exit of 130R. That was one of the Clemson cars. We'll have to get a replay of who that was. Looks like it might have been Thomas Crump, though. But, yeah, this track, there's no asphalt runoff on the edge of this track. So if you dip a wheel into the grass, it's very difficult to recover, as grass tends to have less grip than asphalt. If you take a look at the replay of Thomas Crump spinning here, come down into 130R. Looks like he's just a little bit too happy on the accelerator pedal, but doesn't hit the barrier square on, so maybe he has a chance to keep going here, but he's going to lose a lot of positions, Zach.
Yeah, Thomas Crump, he's just moving on about, and we got a view of Ryan Whitlock here. Let's see if anything particular happened to him, or he's just rolling around. It looks like he slows to a halt. Maybe a mechanical failure, maybe a electrical failure, but the car just slowed down, and looks like he may have just reset some buttons or whatever, but the car got rolling again in spin curve. He is a decent bit of ways behind now, but we got Andrew Williams coming through the Degners now and into the first hairpin. He's currently chasing down Ian Brown with teammate Michael Tognati of the OWR Clumpson Machines in tow. As he runs on through the curve now, Josh, it's looking like it's starting to get a little bit spread out now.
Yeah, that's true. These drivers are starting to figure out that they have a 25-minute race here. Want to make it through the whole thing. Ryan Whitlock and Alabama at Huntsville, probably just going through and having to see if he didn't have some settings correct. That would be probably had to unplug or replug a wheel. You mentioned it. Sometimes there are mechanical failures in sim racing. Sometimes electronic failures. So as we go through here, another good battle between Nick Daly that we have as well and Alex Hallinar as we come up to 130R. Not sure I want to be too wide. Yeah, called that one. Andrew Burrell let Clemson Machine off in the corner. Looks like under braking. Nick Daly around from the University of Texas at Arlington. I think he was trying to get on the brakes before the car behind him. He'll get that car turned back around with a good rejoin. I see Andrew Burrell as well. You can see on your screen, he just got around that corner. And so a couple of these drivers trying to see and still negotiating around that corner. But Alex Hallinar, you're going to be your Binghamton Green Machine on the inside. And yeah, getting through the corner, that weight transfer, so key to get that right. Get your steering wheel input smooth. Don't be jumping and down on the throttle pedal, and when you go through there too wide, it's just so hard to do. It looks like Athena Leclerc actually was getting behind Nick Daly, who you see coming in on pit road. Looks like he's going to try to get that machine patched up. And as we go back and see through this corner, and yeah, Nick Daly doing a good job, just had to step out right there, and you can see Athena Leclerc coming up behind, and just a little tap going into the final two turns. And so that's what it is. You got to look out the front of your windshield, the back of your windshield, everything that you have. Yeah, right there. Just a little touch, speed differential. That is really tough to get around. But we know that at speed, everything happens so quickly. And so that is the result. Quick reflexes on some of these drivers and everybody else trying to understand the importance of such things. So as we get back on it, back up at the front, it is Ted Burns and Hunter Haddisty right now. Max Bui having gone for a small excursion, but back on track. Looks like in 6th place. So Ted Burns, your Wisconsin Badger, up at the front.
Yeah, it looks like Maximilian Bui had a little bit of a spin coming out of the S's, going towards the Degner corners. He might have just dropped a wheel onto the grass and just lost it from there. But I don't think he has too much damage. There might have been a little bit of contact from Hunter Haddisty as he was trying to avoid the spin. But both drivers still on track, as we see Hagen Johnson here having a little bit of a tussle with his Clemson teammate, having to cut across the grass at the chicane. Good fighting here between the two. Maybe he just missed his braking point a little bit, but that might incur a slowdown penalty. So Hagen Johnson might have to give up whatever position he's fighting for here, as looks like Hunter Haddisty on the outside going down into turn 1. But Hagen Johnson not giving this up without a fight. Defends the inside line pretty well. Continues to hold on to that second position, but Hunter Haddisty is not going to give this one up.
Hunter Haddisty and Justin Roberts both going to be wanting their time to shine as they come through. And Matt, I think you're right. I think that off track from Johnson would have incurred a slowdown, but he may have been able to give that back as he went through that first sector there and retained that position. I saw a couple racecrafts moves that would lead us to believe that. So as he comes up here again on these tight corners, look at all the curve these drivers take. These cars jumping up in the air, as you can see that, and back up and now down into the tight hairpin. So that's going to be a little bit of an awkward moment in the Clemson trailer after this one, but these two drivers going to compete for it all. And I think that stands out, guys, that these drivers, teammates or otherwise, are here to compete, and they all want to be in the first position. So awesome to watch, and I think the booth is a good place to be, Nick.
Yes, seeing 3 Clemson cars getting that close makes me gets me a little bit nervous, but I'm sure there was some communication going on in the team chat about letting Hagen by. Looks like he's been released. He's got a little bit of pace to show, but here comes Hunter. It looks like may not be over yet. He's getting a little bit of he's getting that toe in the 130R, but he pulls out a little bit early. I would have waited until after 130R to pull out. What is he going to do? And he's going to yield and let Hagen go after it. Three cars in a row, but Hagen's actually kind of leading a train right now. He's got about 7, 8 cars behind him. They're all pretty much close together. Positions 2 through 9 right now are within 4 seconds of each other. It's getting pretty tight up there.
Yeah, here I'm. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
You can see a number of cars under a blanket there, Matt, that especially when we get these long views down the front stretch, we're able to see the scale, and there is a little bit of a train. Good amount of tow as these drivers try and get their times down and get through the middle section of this race. It's something they'll have to think about and consider how they want to position their cars as they go to strike the car in front of them. Might want to not leave themselves so exposed behind, as there is trouble. Looks like Jamie Lawrence, San Diego State University, is around. He's going to be racing Alex Hallinar, and now he's going to try and rejoin safely, but saw that Porsche together side by side. Didn't quite have position, so this would be Alex's corner right here, and yeah, probably could have backed out of that one. Alex pretty close there, so tough note there for Jamie as he tries to get back on track, but Jamie, no stranger to speed. He's got a whole second heat that he can work on, so all he wants to do probably is get up near that 12th position, guys, and use that invert.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to pass there coming out of the S's. You really need the cooperation of both yourself and making sure that you're getting everything right on the brakes, as well as the driver you're trying to pass, to make sure that he gives you the room, because you're not always entitled to the room if you're not there for the overtake. So, sometimes you see these drivers get their elbows out a little bit. They start bumping shoulders, bumping elbows, but these drivers, no stranger to contact. And that's one of the great things about GT3 racing, is that you can have a little bit of contact and not end up with the wheel bent the wrong direction or suspension bent out of shape. No broken wings here. But yeah, Maximilian Bui, still currently in 6th position, hasn't regained much since his spin earlier on, but seems like he's caught in this train being led by Hagen Johnson right now. So he's trying to catch up to the pack, and I'm sure he loves seeing all these drivers in front of him fighting it out.
I don't mean to be the cause for alarm, but Hagen Johnson set the fastest lap of the field that last time round. He a 2-minute flat, a 2-minute.9 to Ted Burns ahead of him with a 2:01.1. 0.2 faster, yes, but Hagen has been released. It looks like he is gonna go hunting.
Yeah, Zach, that's a great point. But do you think Ted might just be cruising out there right now? He has about a 5.8 second lead over Hagen Johnson in second. That's a pretty sizable difference. So it's possible that Ted realizes that. He's trying not to push the boundary. He's trying to play it safe and finish off this first race in first position without spinning off the track, which is very easy to do here at Suzuka.
Completely fair, but I think at the end of the day, if there's going to be a little bit of excitement, just play along and see. I think Hagen can maybe trim it down, but if he does get close to him, it would be an incredible drive.
Yeah, Ian Brown and Maximilian Bui going really at it right now into Spoon. Bui made a very ambitious dive into the hairpin, but it looks like those two made a little bit of contact coming on the exit of Spoon. There is no love lost between those two drivers. Maybe a little bit of retribution from Ian there for launching a dive bomb down the inside of the hairpin before they went up toward a Spoon. So you might get a replay of that. maybe not. We were live for it for a little bit, but Maximilian Brie definitely not happy with that move for me and Brown right now.
I don't know about that one there, boss. That may need the stewarding committee may need to take a look at that. That was not as clean as you would like. Hugh Hagen Johnson, he got a little bit squirrely off of 130R. He did save it, but Hunter Hedesty got the pass done on the chicane. It looks like the hunting has hurt Hagen's tires a little bit too much. Hunter clear back to it, and they were drag racing down the front stretch, but it looks like looks like Hagen was actually able to get back around Hedesty, released again to go back after him. But three Clemson cars in the blanket, 2, 3, and 4 right now. Not looking too good right there. Oh well, they're looking good. It's just they get a little bit too close for comfort. If you're 3 teammates right there, I would definitely suggest a little bit more space in between, because I mean, one false move and it's straight to the record.
Well, I mean, I think you should also look at, as a team, are they under threat for many drivers right now? Do they think that they have the pace to catch up to Ted Burns? I'm not quite sure that they do in clean air, but that little mistake from Hagen Johnson really just gave Hunter Hadesty the chance to go through and work on trying to make that overtake. But Hagen Johnson did a great job for making his way back through, trying to get the pass done in turn 1, and he did, retaking that second place. And I'm sure this is going to be a good fight we're going to see for the rest of the race.
Of course, it does seem to be that as Ted Burns is coming down to take another lap led in this race, that Hunter Hedesty and Hagen Johnson, this is going to be the most interesting battle. And if Justin Roberts has anything for him, to maybe snag a podium position, right now in the student championship, the main duel is between Justin Roberts, Ryan Whitlock, and Thomas Crump. And as we look at those 3 cars, Justin's sitting 4th, Crump is sitting 9th, Whitlock is sitting 17th. So overall, it's not looking good for Whitlock right now in this championship aspirations. But Athena Leclerc on the screen. She's got a gaggle of cars. Jordan Ricky in front of her, Alexandre Pacini behind her. Looking to be dealing with the challenge of Suzuka fairly well, running in the 13th position. Jordan Ricky holding that also luxurious transfer spot in P12 to go from 12th to 1st in race 2. But Pacini showing a little bit of attack. Matthew, looks like there could be a move made soon.
Yeah, Nick, these guys and girls are not going to be giving up this 12th spot without a fight. I think they all know what's on the line here if they finish 12th. Currently, like you said, our 12th place driver is Jordan Ricci out of the University of Alabama at Huntsville, but Athena Leclerc and Alexander Pacini definitely giving good chase here, as we get a replay here of Hunter Hadesty for Clemson University trying to chase down Hagen Johnson. Let's see what happened here. Maybe a little bit of a wiggle, spin. Oh, a little half spin. Turn on the Euro beat as Hunter Hadesty is drifting up towards the Degner corners, but drifting is not the fastest way around this track, sadly, as much as I wish it was. But gets it back on track, avoids all the other cars, and keeps that engine rolling.
Yeah, and a bit of a tricky rejoin right there for the Clemson machine. But back on track, it is very easy as you get up 2 tires up over those curbs to have that experience being on the edge and just letting that rear end step out a little bit. Probably would have gone around further if that engine wasn't up in the front. But nonetheless, we did see this battle with Rodriguez, Ricci, and actually Leclerc all at one point. This battle's been brewing. Right now, advantage goes to Rodriguez, but actually Leclerc just behind Leclerc, side by side with these drivers trying to battle for that position. So you can see as we come down the front stretch, everybody trying to make the best of their marks and catch the driver in front.
Indeed, indeed. As we go back to the front, Ted Burns lapped a 2-minute flat, 0.8 on the lead. Hagen Johnson, his closest chaser, he lapped a 2-minute flat, 0.9. They're close on pace. It's just there's that 8-second flat gap as we continue to look at Athena Leclerc. A slow car in front of her there looks to be the Clemson car of Michael Tognati. Tognati looks to have a bunch of front end damage. It's going to be an easy pass for Leclerc. Leclerc now into the first Degner. Nice and smooth, riding some curb into the second Degner. She has her sights set now on Daniel Rodriguez. Can she catch Rodriguez now? But at the same time, she has hit P12. If I was Leclerc, I would definitely consider my options. I can simply wait it out, finish 12th, and start first in the next one.
Yeah, Nick, that's a good point. But I think one thing we also saw with Leclerc there was it looked like it was Haddisty spun off again at the same corner he spun off the lap before. I think we're going to get a replay of that right now. So Hunter Haddisty had a good start to this race, but looks like he just is struggling with that tire where it's a little bit of understeer coming up on the corner. And yeah, just barely touches the grass. And ooh, that might be terminal damage for him to end this race.
Yeah, and he would have just come out of pits there with cold tires. A couple stories. UAH's Alabama at Huntsville, Jordan Rike, dropped out due to internet connections. So we talked about mechanical and electrical issues. They do exist, and they do continue for that team. Alabama at Huntsville will be hanging out with Ryan Whitlock now, and you can see Athena Leclerc trying to get around. Looks like we're going to jump over to Andrew Williams and Alex Hallinar going through 130R. Clemson Tiger to the outside. And how does it go? It looks like a little bit up and around goes Andrew Williams, and it is so easy, especially when you're used to going through there, guys, with all the air and downforce on your car. Very easy to let that go around like that, and so a little bit tricky, but back on track and no damage there. But Athena Leclerc did get around Daniel Rodriguez, a pair of NASCAR drivers there, St. Clair Shores University, as well as, or St. Clair College, as well as Auburn University. The War Eagles trying to make their way back around, but right now under fire from what appears to be Jamie Lawrence in that Porsche, that standout paint scheme. San Diego State University going to try to make their way around, but Matt, where can you? There's nowhere to go right now.
Yeah, all these cars right here. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars right here fighting for that 12th transfer spot to the pole position for the second race. You know, you mentioned what spots can you get by around this track, as we see Athena Leclerc go deep into the hairpin. That's going to cost her going down to Spoon Corner, but that's one of those spots on the track where if you're brake brakes, you can definitely make a pass there at the hairpin, or set yourself up for a good pass into Spoon Corner coming up here in a moment. But we did see a car spin off in the back there on the exit of the hairpin. Looks like a little too much gas coming out of the corner, spun up those rear tires and just center around. But all these cars right here fighting for that 12th transfer spot. Currently, we see Athena Leclerc spin off again. Looks like it's Spoon Corner. That's going to give that 12th transfer spot to, I believe, Jamie Lawrence. But Hunter Haddisty is still in this race, and they're going side by side up towards 130R. 2x2 going to 130R with 3 Clemson machines here. It's going to get a little spicy as it looks like the guys on the inside brake way early, and they're going all over the track just to avoid each other. But they make it through all in one piece, as it looks like Daniel Rodriguez is going down the corner again, down the inside of the chicane. But it's so exciting, I can't even talk, as Hunter Haddisty, it looks like he pulls into the pits now, might have some terminal damage or engine damage.
Yeah, massive sequence of events right there. You saw going through Spoon. We talked about. Looks like a couple of us had to slow up lift for Leclerc as she went around, and then you had the opportunists behind, a couple of Clemson Tigers, and now we focus on Rodriguez and the driver in front going to be Lawrence, Jamie Lawrence of San Diego State University, and so these drivers trying to negotiate now. But absolutely, I don't know that 2x2 through Spoon was the option, but with a track that's difficult to pass at, nobody's going to want to give that opportunity up. Good on Jamie Lawrence there as he saw the car inside to slow down. And now we're going to go back to Bowie and Brown. This is USC and Mesa College that are going to go. We've seen these two side by side tonight. And so as they come up through, this is going to be Spoon. Yeah, the advantage is going to be on the inside there and probably want to back out. I think probably waiting until the start finish or trying to make a deep move after 130R down under braking. That's an option too, but maybe a little bit far back right now. We know that that Audi and that Ferrari certainly has the power. That Audi, though, going to be very nimble through this Suzuka Raceway. And so, Nick, I'm not sure who to pick, but this one will be close and not quite far enough there along for braking as we go back up to the front stretch. Nick?
Oh, definitely. These two have a little bit of a history in just this race alone. I definitely don't see. I definitely see Max putting out a little bit more aggression than usual because, well, he's just a little bit ticked off right now at Ian Brown for that first pass. He got right back by him. I think he's definitely going to pull off a couple extra, more aggressive defensive moves than usual. As you saw there, he pushed Ian Brown to the outside. A typical move in Formula cars, but in GT cars, often people like to use their fenders a little bit more. Max is going to continue on here as he goes through the S's for his Geodesic Racing University of Southern California alumni machine over Ian Brown. He is definitely putting the hurt on him now as he's using that Audi power to get away from Ian Brown.
Yeah, and playing quite nicely, those two together. Competitive, but I think nicely. Trying to break the draft down the front. You can see Lawrence now trying to come back on, I believe that is Michael Tognati from Clemson University in that BMW. Again, I think he's probably waiting on the warm-up and the second heat to be able to go and put a hood on that car. But Jamie Lawrence trying to continue to fight. Must be pretty good in a straight line. You talked about that power, but we know that BMW, that twin-turbo V8, very quick, and he is showing it right now. Hood or not, Jamie Lawrence is going to have to do his best in that Porsche. We know Lawrence likes the Porsche. San Diego State University going to have to try and find their way around with a little bit of skill to get past that BMW.
Yeah, as these drivers navigate through Suzuka, it looked like there was a little bit of a wiggle coming out of the corners there for Jamie Lawrence. But as we were watching this battle between Jamie Lawrence here, we did see Ian Brown try to make another overtake around the outside of Maximilian Bui. Couldn't get it done, and Bui gave him a little bit of a warning as we see Lawrence wide through Spoon Corner. But it also looks like one of the cars in front of him went off. Can't tell who that is quite. Looks like it might have been Tognati in the wall there on the end of the Spoon Corner. But Jamie Lawrence back up into position 9 for now. Currently in the 12th position as we get a bit closer to the end of this race is Daniel Rodriguez for Auburn University. Excuse me, it's my timing screen's a little messed up right now, so I can't see. But coming around with Jamie Lawrence still. Nick, we see some great racing from some of these drivers here tonight. What are you expecting as we come to the end of this race from our second race of the evening?
I would like to see Ted Burns navigate traffic. He just simply has had a very clean race. It's well executed, well managed. It will be definitely interesting to see how he navigates his Audi through traffic, seeing if he can make some passes, or just seeing if, his car, his setup just gets mired back in traffic and simply can't handle it. It'll definitely be interesting to see right now. Michael Tognati, who's not used to being in the front, if the race was to end at this very moment, he's on the pole. What exactly does he do with it? I don't know. But, he's not in the front that often. But, he will definitely try his best to put out a good performance. I'm definitely thinking that, with this second race, there was a few drivers that are not too pleased with each other right now. Maybe some debts are going to get paid in the second race. Who knows? But it's looking pretty tied up right here, and Ted Burns is weaving around, flashing the lights, because he has looked to have won this race today. The race won here at Suzuka. Ted Burns coming across the line as your winner, Josh.
Ed Burns does. Wisconsin bringing it home in Heat 1, and you can tell he's happy. That is fantastic for those guys, that group. They have worked hard and stayed busy. But, yeah, Ted Burns probably feels pretty good to get one done here. He's had a little bit of bad luck, but he is on it now. So good job for those Badgers, and we'll get to talk to him shortly. But finishing up this race, a couple of battles as we go through 130R. A couple of guys trying to get through. Andrew Burrell. Looks like you can see Athena Leclerc there in front. She appears to be safe for now, but Andrew Burrell right in the middle of this. Will UT Arlington try and make a dive? Doesn't look like it is. Well defended, actually. Maybe a bit exposed, but now I think everybody will make it through, and this will be your finishing order. Leclerc, Burrell, and the University of Texas at Arlington going ahead. Going to go, that's Nicholas Daly in that 280 machine.
Yeah, it looks like Athena Leclerc recovered from her earlier spin at looks like it was Spoon Curve, I believe, finishing 12th. So Athena Leclerc will be your race 2 pole sitter for this evening. Sadly, Tognati, and maybe, I don't know if she overtook Tognati in the last lap. You might need to see a replay, but Tognati, who was in 12th position going into the last lap, sadly lost after the Clemson University machine. As we look at Hunter Hadesty, what a bad luck for Hunter Hadesty in this race. Just a bit unlucky with some of the spins, as we see a replay of Tognati pulling off the track. Oh, here we go. We're going to see a replay of this now. But coming out of the hairpin, just pulls off to the side. Not sure if he understeered into the grass or what, or if he had some engine damage and just decided to call it there. But race 1, pretty exciting all in all. We'll have a race 2 coming up where the top 12 will be inverted. Athena Leclerc for St. Clair College will start the pole for race 2 in the heat 2. So, Nick, what are your thoughts of that first race? We saw some pretty good action, especially from some of the Clemson cars.
Oh, for certain, for certain. There was a lot of great action out there tonight. There was definitely in the midfield. I mean, at the front, Ted Burns kind of ran away with it after Maximilian Bowie had a little bit of an issue himself. But I think my overall take from the first race was a lot of self spinning again. That's been a little bit of the nature of the road series, where some drivers are a little bit too overconfident with the tires and with the accelerator. But I think second races tend to be a little bit cleaner. But there was definitely some riskier moves that some drivers are not too pleased with. To run through the results of the first race, the winner of race 1, of course, was Ted Burns. And then moving on to second place was Clemson University's Hagen Johnson. And third place, rounding out the race 1 podium, was Clemson University's Justin Roberts. Moving on to fourth place, Maximilian Bowie. In fifth place, another Clemson car, and Thomas Crump, who wrecked early. Great recovery drive from him. P6 and Ian Brown. P7, Andrew Williams out of Clemson. P8, Alex Hallinar out of Binghamton. P9, Ryan Whitlock, who started dead last, had what seemed to be an electrical issue on the rig side. He came home in P9. Great recovery drive from him. Daniel Rodriguez from Auburn University in P10. Jamie Lawrence, P11 from San Diego State, and P12 and race 1 pole sitter race 2 pole sitter Athena Leclerc coming home in P12. Andrew Burrell, a Clemson University car, coming home P13. Alexandre Piccini coming home P14. Hunter Hadesty, Clemson University, P15. Michael Tognati, also Clemson University, in P16. Jordan Rickey, P17 from University of Alabama at Huntsville. And in 2 cars that seem to have had a little bit too much damage to continue on tonight, Nicholas Daly, P18, and Alex Kogosar, newcomer to the series. His debut first race in P19, and that seems to be the running order. As always, the top 12 is inverted. Athena Leclerc and Jamie Lawrence, they will lead us to green here in 3 minutes' time. It's going to be looking to be a barn burner here to close out our Suzuka evening. Josh, what seems to be the thoughts?
Well, I think it's classic. We know the second race can be a little bit more aggressive than before, and so we'll be able to see what these drivers have saved up. I think Ted Burns is going to make his move through the field. I don't think that was all we saw from Ted Burns. I think he got out and conserved, but I think the University of Wisconsin has more in the tank. Jamie Lawrence is going to end up starting second in this race after last race with a fresh car, so that's going to be a fast Porsche. I think these are all things that we're going to be able to see, and so it's going to be a new storyline. And I think we're going to see same thing. We're going to see battles in the mid pack and up at the front.
Yeah, the second race is always exciting at the start. The top 12 invert makes things interesting for some of these faster drivers who maybe didn't deal with traffic in the first race, like Ted Burns, like Hagen Johnson once he was released. It sort of gives an advantage to some of those maybe 5, 6, 7 cars who ran in traffic for the first race. They know what to expect going into turn one with cars around them. And I think you might see some spins on the first lap. I wouldn't be surprised if something happened and you caught 3 or 4 cars out that were in the top 10 in the first race that end up, getting into an accident, running at the back for this race due to damage or any other circumstances like that. So it's going to be a good one for the second race tonight, especially at a track like Suzuka, where in turn one, cars typically funnel down into a very, single file SS section.
Indeed. It's going to be a very, very difficult race. I believe 130R is going to catch a couple more very talented drivers tonight. It caught a few. It caught Thomas Crump very early on. It caught Andrew Williams. It caught Alex Hallinar, very talented race car drivers. But I definitely think that and Spoon Curve. It got a little bit tight near the end, but I think overall it's going to be another very, very interesting race. And I think drivers, as they begin to push that limit a little bit more, they're going to get to that point where they definitely get a little bit too big for their britches, as some would say. They're definitely going to, make a mistake or two, and that the second race is all about, putting everything on the table. This is when I got to go win. And as we are now going to line them up here, it'll be Athena Leclerc and Jamie Lawrence. They will take us to green as we go through the grid, starting in P1, Athena Leclerc, St. Clair College, Jamie Lawrence, P2 from San Diego State University, P3, Daniel Rodriguez, Auburn, P4, Ryan Whitlock, University of Alabama, Huntsville, P5, Alex Hallinar, Binghamton, P6, Andrew Williams out of Clemson, P7, Ian Brown, P8, Thomas Crump out of Clemson, P9, Maximilian Bowie out of University of Southern California. P10 is Justin Roberts out of Clemson. P11 is Hagen Johnson out of Clemson. P12, Ted Burns out of Wisconsin. P13, Andrew Burrell out of Clemson. P14, Alexander Piccini. P15, Hunter Hidesti out of Clemson. P16, Michael Tognati out of Clemson. P17, Jordan Ricky out of UAH. P18, Nicholas Daly out of UTA. And P19, Alex Kogos. Josh, take them on down for that green flag.
Yeah, they're moving under pace car speed right now. A little bit new front end, Leclerc, Lawrence, Rodriguez, Whitlock. So drivers that we've seen. Ryan Whitlock probably loves being up there in 4th position. Auburn's Daniel Rodriguez is going to look to get a good start on this one. And these drivers are going to go try and be up front and be there at the end when it happens. But you got to get a good start first. So as these drivers come down to the front of the line, they're waiting. It'll be the control car again. Leclerc will have her choice when she'd like to go. She chooses to be off. She's got a pretty good start. Jamie Lawrence falls in behind, guys. Roberts, and down the order they go. Whitlock, Rodriguez, Williams down into turn 1. Big gaggle of cars as they go around turns 1 and 2. Matt?
Yeah, these cars try to single file out and figure out what order they're going to come out of the first corner in as they navigate down towards the S's. As it looks like we've got Alex Hallinar and it looks like one of the Clemson cars of Andrew Williams off the track, and they come back on pretty dangerously, and the Clemson car gets the worst of it as Hallinar continues on as they move through the S's. Side by side going through the S's, that's Ian Brown side by side with Hallinar, but Thomas Crump here in the Lamborghini for Clemson University, duking it out with some of the cars around him, Maximilian Bowie included. They figure it out as they make their way towards the Degnar turns, but these guys are not giving it up without a fight. Much more aggressive here in race 2 than they were in race 1. Going side by side in the Degnar, figuring out the moves, figuring out where drivers want to go. It looks like we have a little bit of action at the front for Jamie Lawrence and Athena Leclerc are duking it out side by side. I've seen some action in the timing tower, but Athena Leclerc currently second. Jamie Lawrence looks like he has made the path for the lead in race 2 here in the CiL GT3 series, heading down towards the Spoon Curve now, Nick.
Indeed, they are. Jamie Lawrence has taken the lead away from Christina Leclerc. As they head through Spoon now, they are. That's a double apex, 2 left-handers, and Lawrence. He's looking to maybe not so much as weave through, but now as they head for 130R, a corner that's famously taken flat out, they're gonna have to lift a little bit and get right back on into it. And Jamie Lawrence heading down into the chicane, heavy braking from him as that's a 4-car gaggle up at the front. Whitlock and Rodriguez also trying to get involved. Another car goes around. That looks to be Alex Hallinar. Ooh boy.
Yeah, Alex Hallinar not having a great first lap. Got tangled earlier on with one of the Clemson cars of Andrew Williams, I believe, through the grass before the S's and spins again in the chicane. Just unfortunate from him as we get a look with Alexander Pacini going down to turn 1. These cars going side by side as we can see through here. But single file's out before they get through the S's. You know, the fastest way to get through the S's is to go single file. As much as it, pains some of these drivers to have to be patient, they know that if they go side by side, they're going to lose a lot of time to the cars in front. As we look with trying to chase down the Clipsy car in front of him, that's Hagen Johnson, who started from 11th position for this race. A little bit of a wiggle on the exit for Hagen Johnson as he heads up towards the Spoon curve, Degnar, and the car off behind him. I believe that was Tognati from Clemson University. And this gives Nicholas Daly the opportunity to make a move around the outside into Degnar as we look back on Michael Tognati. Unfortunate, a little wiggle from him, kind of just put him towards the grass, and he got back on track pretty quickly, though. Hopefully, he should be able to make up some time. As he looked back, Nicholas Daly making the move around the outside of Degnar 1 and 2 on Alexander Pacini.
Indeed, it's looking pretty good right now. As we look right wrong with Nicholas Daly, he is in P13 right now. He's looking to keep it up there as he's running through Spoon now. Once again, hitting that double left-hander. Looks to be Daniel Rodriguez. He is around and tumbling down the order. Tough scenes from him as Nicholas Daly now coming up through the back straight. Heading straight for 130R. Will he take it flat out? The answer to that is yes. Pushes it to the limit, hits those curves, gets a little bit of extra help, and he heads straight for the chicane, braking heavy. To left right-hander right there into a smooth little right-hander. Does a head right back on for the front stretch. He's going to get a little bit of a toe out of Hagen Johnson. Can he make the move into turns 1 and 2? He pulls alongside. He has the Audi power. Audi versus Porsche, 2 Volkswagen Group cars. Who's going to win? It looks like it's going to be Nicholas Daly. He has just outbraked Hagen Johnson into the corner, hits the double apex just right, and continues on his way to the S's, Matthew.
Yeah, that was a solid move from Nicholas Daly there. Get it done under the braking. Makes it super simple on the exit of the corner. You don't have to worry about a car along your outside. But, good fight from Hagen Johnson. He tried his best to make sure that he could stay longer on the brakes, but just couldn't quite get it done as it looks like he settles back into position 10 right now. But we look on board with Ian Brown here, side by side with Justin Roberts going to Degnar. But that's a very difficult corner to get the move around the outside done. But now it puts Justin Roberts under pressure from Ted Burns, our race 1 winner from the University of Wisconsin, able to hold him off through Degnar 2. And Ian Brown currently leads that pack, sitting in 7th position right now. But these 3 cars going some hard racing between these 3. We saw some of the speed from Ted Burns, so I'm sure he's itching to get by. But Ian Brown, he's fast in the zone, right? He was able to race hard with Maximilian Bui in the first race. But looks like Justin Roberts is going to be looking on the outside into Spoon. Oh, he hits the back bumper of Ian Brown, and Brown is hit spinning into Spoon. Great recovery from him. He might only lose 1 position there. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a penalty come out for Justin Roberts for that move there.
I don't know about the move there from Justin Roberts, but Ian Brown has just been hit with a penalty himself as he was noted for the incident involving him and Daniel Rodriguez. That'll be a pass-through penalty for the 3 car. It's a very unfortunate occurrence for him. He has been, showing his mettle a little bit, getting those bumpers out a little bit too much for some drivers' liking. Maximilian Boo would be the first one to tell you, but and he goes to serve his drive-through penalty any real notion of him having a chance to win this race tonight is going up in smoke as he drives on through, hitting that very slow 50-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit. As back up at the front, Justin Roberts and Ted Burns, two drivers with immense amount of talent for driving in the virtual world. They're heading through the S's right now. It's tight between those two. Looks like Ted Burns may be calculating a move. Could be in the hairpin. As no, he's going to make it now. He's going to take this corner. Justin looks like he may...
Yeah, looks like Justin Roberts got black flag for his incident with Ian Brown in the spoon corner there. So he might have given that one up a little bit easily, knowing that he has to come through for a drive-through penalty this next time around. But we'll see what he does. A couple of cars behind him still who could make up some positions. But Justin Roberts does have to come in for a drive-through penalty for avoidable contact with Ian Brown, who also had to serve a penalty for avoidable contact he had in another incident this race.
I'd like to see another replay of that. I don't think Justin hit him.
No, Justin definitely hit him. He sent him way up the track. He definitely hit the bumper there.
Makes sense, but I can hear through the radio chat right now. I got radio chat turned on. Justin is not happy at all with that. Let's take a look here in the spoon corner. I mean, I don't know what to say there. Over the radio, I'm hearing Justin says Ian braked way earlier than ever expected. But as a car that is following, you have to be prepared for anything at any moment's notice. So ultimately, fault does lie with the 14 car. It is a respectable penalty, but a frustrating penalty nonetheless. As a car goes around, I believe it is Maximilian Bowie. I believe he has taken a ride. I think Leclerc also dropping down the order. Wait, no, never mind. I'm incorrect. Maximilian Bowie is still up near the front. It was Leclerc that took a ride, as Leclerc may have gotten tapped.
Yeah, it's all kicking off in this race here. Looks like no love has been lost between these drivers after race one. We get a replay here of Athena Leclerc, not Alexander, Athena Leclerc, and her incident going into the chicane. We'll see if we can get a good replay of this here. Oh, it looks like a gaggle of cars facing the wrong direction, because I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be going from right to left in that image. But here we go. A dive down the inside. Looks like Athena Leclerc did get tagged by, I want to say that is Maximilian Bowie. I'm not too sure, though, he disappeared off the screen there. I'm not quite sure. He dove down like that. But whoever that was, they'll definitely be getting a penalty for that one.
That was Maximilian Bowie. It looked like he was going for a pass on the car that was behind Athena Leclerc, but got a little bit too greedy and ultimately ran into Athena's space. That'll be a black flag for Maximilian Bowie, of course. Major damage for Athena Leclerc. Her race is ruined. The pole sitter of race 2 was running in second place for a majority of the evening here in the second race. Ends up in the barriers and is now serving with some damage.
Yeah, she had some major crab walking there. Sadly, we're not on the beach. We're at a racetrack, and whenever you're crabbing like that, you typically know your race is over for the day.
Back near the front of the field, Jamie Lawrence running through 130R. He's getting ready for that heavy braking into the chicane. He is putting on his best Ted Burns impression. He is running away with it a little bit. He had one car to pass in the form of Athena Leclerc, but is now basically on his own as he is continuing to lead. Jamie Lawrence has been successful this season, has ended up on the podium before. He is has not won this season yet, but anything can happen. There's still 13 minutes left in this race. Currently sitting in P2 right now is Thomas Crump. He has about a 3-second advantage over Ted Burns, winner of race 1. Ted Burns right now, his last lap was a 2-minute flat to Jamie Lawrence's 2:01. So Ted Burns only 7 seconds away, is showing a little bit of that pace advantage that he just has through his natural talent. Maybe he can definitely make some noise near the end. Definitely P2 is on the cards for him, as Crump right now is running a very smooth race, running on his own, as many would like to call a boring race, but sometimes boring is good. You know, it's good for the points. Crump is a championship contender. He is out near the front of the championship standings. As Matthew, is there any action going on around right now?
Well, it looks like some of the closest cars on track right now are Nicholas Daly, Hagen Johnson, currently fighting over fifth and sixth position right now. Those two have been pretty much bumper to tail the entire race so far. As we look further back in the field, uh, Daniel Rodriguez for University of Auburn had a bit of a pack of four here with Justin Roberts on his tail and Jordan Ricci and Andrew Williams up in front of him. These four, they're pretty close. They're probably the closest battle on track right now, all things considered. But I don't know what you were talking about, Nick, because I think this race has been pretty exciting so far. We saw a lot of good action in the first half of this 13 minutes that have elapsed so far, but as things kind of spread out a little bit, the race goes on. Things get a little bit more calm, as we would say, but that does not mean that the racing action is getting any worse right now. You see Daniel Rodriguez here chasing down Jordan Ricci, University of Alabama at Huntsville. Well, it's not University of Alabama at Tuscaloosa, but I'm sure that Auburn University driver has no love lost for any of his other Alabama neighbors in the university system they got down there.
Yeah, and you can see out your front windshield, Alex Kogos making a CIL debut and doing it in a solid P12 right now, keeping a couple names behind him as right back up on the bumper and actually to the side gives way. I wonder if he had a slowdown actually. So Kogos giving up those two spots there to the Orange Machines, but back down the front stretch. And now Justin Roberts actually going to pull out. He's trying to come back from that little bit of a penalty that he had earlier. Looks like he'll make his way agreeably up to the front, and these drivers get it figured out. But guys, I'm going in my notebook, and if I go through the archives, I'm really not so surprised to see 007 up at the front. That's SDSU's Jamie Lawrence, and he has run away with a number of these events, always in a Porsche. Even when we were a GTE, now GT3s, big Porsche fan and knows how to make those cars work for him, and they suit his style well. So you can ride on board with Lawrence as he goes through, and heavy braking for Spoon. He'll get that Porsche flicked in just a little bit up through fourth gear, down to third, maybe second if he feels like it, but looks like he'll use that torque from the six-cylinder engine. Ooh, a little bit extra torque as he gets up on the curves. We saw a number of drivers do that, don't do that, and back down through 130R to complete the lap. But yeah, Jamie Lawrence, no surprise there that he's up in front. Actually, Ted Burns with a little bit of a slip there. That was my biggest note who might pose a threat, but with that gone, Jamie Lawrence, guys, it's his race to lose. He's got the pace. All he's got to do is keep the tires on track.
And as you were saying, as you were talking right there, Ted Burns, one of his biggest competitors of the evening, he went for a little bit of a slide. He is no longer in P3. That is now occupied by UAH's Ryan Whitlock, who's leading a train of cars behind him in the form of Nick Daly and Hagen Johnson. Both of them are pushing hard right behind him. They're really going nose to tail, looking for some moves right now, Matthew. It could get really interesting here in these S's.
Yeah, I think Ryan Whitlock has really shown his speed this year. Has a race win under his belt as we take a look at Hagen Johnson, the third car in this line for Clemson University. Some of these drivers, like Nicholas Daly, for example, he didn't have a great first race, but one of the benefits of this race system or this format with two races is that you always have a second race to make up for your mistakes in the first. As we see Ted Burns really hassling the back of Hagen Johnson here, coming out of the S's. Might see a move lined up into the Degnar corners here, but tricky spot to pass. As we see Hagen Johnson defend to the inside, he is not letting that one up easily as they go down to the second Degnar. As looks like Hagen Johnson pulls a little bit of a gap out, or is that Ted Burns just being patient and falling back a moment to try to better his exit towards this hairpin corner, the all-important hairpin corner that sets up your long backstretch point to the Spoon corner.
Yeah, that's key, and you can see that Audi there with a little bit of a run. Don't know if he'll get to the bumper in time for this one, but Ted certainly calculating his moves. We know that when we do get him in the booth to chat, it's usually pretty technical, and he can understand where these drivers are going to go, sometimes even before they do. So you can see there, actually, as that Porsche uses all the track, hanging out there up along the curbing and back down here. So you may guys mentioned leaving space. Burns would want to leave maybe a couple car lengths here just to get some downforce on that car. The downforce goes down exponentially as you get right up to your opponent's bumper. So right now, yeah, this is his chance to go down into turn 1 and get some position. So easier said than done, but he has got a long time to do it. As you can see, just under 10 minutes left in this one. So everybody's got a little bit of time to get the job done here.
Indeed, he's looking to get a little bit of a toe here into turn 1, a double apex as he heads into turn 2. Looking to get through the S's here. S's are very critical here for downforce, so being in that toe of Hagen Johnson's not going to be very beneficial here to Ted. The Hagen bumps a little bit into curves. It gets his car a little bit unsettled as he's using a little bit more curb than Ted. Ted using the advantage of that asphalt there, getting those racing slicks firmly applied. And he's definitely looking to make a move here as soon as possible, calculating. He's seeing where Hagen is strong, and he knows where he is strong, of course, and as they brake hard for the Degners, riding along the curb into the second one, and they can see if Ted right now, he's got 2 cars in his front view mirror. He's got Hagen Johnson and Nick Daly. They're very close to him, actually within 2 seconds. So he heads down into the hairpin here. He rides a little bit higher than the average apex, but that's probably to carry a little bit more speed. Gets off out of that corner into the sweeping right-hander before Spoon. Matthew, it's looking like Ted is putting together some solid laps.
Yeah, I was going to say right at the start of that lap, it looked like Nicholas Daly and Ryan Whitlock up in front of these 2 drivers. We're definitely enjoying this fight between Ted Burns and Hagen Johnson, but looks like these 2 are catching up. Looks like with both of them in line, not really side by side, they're catching up to the 2 cars in the front. So I think Hagen Johnson, Ted Burns, both still have their sights well set on the podium here, currently held by Ryan Whitlock. Thomas Crump and Jamie Lawrence, a bit out of the picture. Don't think they can catch up to them before the end of this race, but 3rd place is still definitely a fight worth watching. As Hagen Johnson goes a little bit deep into the chicane there. That's going to give Ted Burns an excellent chance down here out of the chicane into turn 1, tucking into the right under the rear wing of that Porsche being run by Hagen Johnson for Clemson University. We're going to see him make a move down to the inside here, maybe fanning inside. No, he's going to commit. Turn side by side into turn 1 right now on the brakes. Ted Burns gets it done, but goes way deep, and Hagen Johnson trying to hit him with the cutback. Can't quite get there, but Ted Burns maybe have this position at this point, but as they go into the S's, they'll single file out, and Ted Burns does overtake Hagen Johnson for that 5th spot.
Yeah, and a very smart place to make that pass. Maybe opportunistic. He didn't choose to have his opponent there run wide, but that pass that developed over a 1/3 of a lap out of the chicane, setting it up, getting it done in turn 1, and then very convenient to have the S's, Matt, you said, thereafter to keep anything else at bay there. But Ted Speed, no surprise here this weekend. Last weekend he was racing his Formula car, 2nd place in the SCCA June sprints in his Formula Ford, running around the Midwest when he's not wrenching on those race cars at Kelly Moss. So no surprise there that Ted understands how to get around, and kind of like listening to LeBron James describe the finals and the play-by-play, that's how I think we understand Ted's mind to be. So he understands the ins and outs of not only these race cars and how they go fast alone, but the racecraft and what his competitors are doing. So that's Ted Burns from the University of Wisconsin, but still Jamie Lawrence back up at front. And actually Thomas Crump from Clemson University and Ryan Whitlock trying to get that car up past 3rd place, but close gaps. In fact, mostly under fire from Nick Daly at the moment right now. Ryan is.
Yeah, this battle's been brewing for a couple laps here. I think there's a lot of ebbing and flowing between Ryan Whitlock and Nicholas Daly out of UT Arlington as we look on board as they come out of the final chicane now. But I think these guys not quite catching up to Thomas Crump in 2nd, but holding their own in their fight between each other. And they're pulling away a little bit now from Ted Burns behind, but Nicholas Daly looking on the inside into turn 1, can't quite get it done, way too far back, thinks better of it, tucks back into the line and hopes to follow Ryan Whitlock out of the University of Alabama at Huntsville through this iconic SS section.
Indeed. Looking at Nick Daly right now, he's right behind Ryan Whitlock. He's assessing a move as soon as he can, getting out of the S's now. In that last corner here before the Degners. Nick Daly, he's got a little bit of speed in that car as we look at lap times. Nick Daly's last lap at 2:05, to Whitlock's 2-minute .9. Haley has a tidbit more pace. He rides the curb into the second Degner, takes enough of that runoff there, runs under the bridge, and heads for the hairpin. It's a little bit of a gap right now, around 0.4 of a second. He runs wider into that hairpin, but to carry out more speed. Now he goes out of the corner, riding that sweeping right-hander into the double apex of spin curve. It's looking really solid here for Nick Daly. He's waiting for probably an opportunity, just like Ted Burns was with Hagen Johnson. But Nick Daly there coming out of the second spoon curve, hitting the throttle as fast as he can. It's a sprint down to 130R, Josh.
That's exactly what it is. He's going to leave a little bit of space so he can have that downforce, and he'll run down in the chicane. Don't know if he's close enough to make a move under braking, but if he can get that car turned, I would say he's a bit far back for a dive right now, but he'll just have time to get that car closed up and see if he can chip away as he gets these done. Probably 3 or 4 laps to go for these drivers who are going to get it wrapped up here soon. Another battle continuing. We saw it before. Hagen Johnson, Hunter Haddisty. These two have already come together. As you can see him down the front stretch. Ted Burns in your front there. But we already have one penalty for Hunter and that BMW. Big Tiger Paw on top, trying to get by and a little bit late on the brakes into the final chicane. But right now, through the S's, it's going to be Hagen Johnson, another eNASCAR driver, who is going to go through a little bit of a slip right there and a touch. Hunter really aggressive, pushing his opponent around a little bit. And so, yeah, not sure this is a passing zone. He's going to try it and contact, and that's going to be big contact for those drivers. And so, yeah, Hunter Haddisty, you can see on the radio, not too thrilled with that arrangement. And Hagen Johnson. Guys, if I'm Hagen Johnson, I'm 0 for 2 in this arrangement, and I'm probably having a team discussion after this race is over.
There's going to be there's definitely going to be a discussion. Hunter, if I'm the stewarding committee right now, I'm definitely looking at that as a little bit too aggressive, honestly. I think that's cause for a penalty. Hagen's radio is doing its best Max Verstappen French Grand Prix interpretation. It's not working, but I'm sure if I'm Hagen right now, it is not happy.
Yeah, it sounds like Hagen Johnson has some serious damage too, because I don't think he can keep that car under control as he slides through the grass now. Yeah, I think he's crabbing. I think he's gonna have to come in. I think he might have the meatball flag.
Yeah, and the way that car was contacted, I think that that left rear, yeah, you can see right there, that car is going to have that toe link knocked out. And so toe, camber, caster, everything on that left rear going to be out of wonk. And I'll be impressed if he does get it back to the pits or up front. But as we come around here, these leaders are going to be taking this white flag pretty soon, guys. In fact, you can see there waving on the flag stand, your leader Lawrence has already taken the white flag. Burns and Haddisty now. And so Jamie Lawrence has one more time around this circuit to bring home his checkered flag for San Diego State. And yeah, it's been a little bit since he's been in the CIL, but nothing lost, and really been able to fly up there, guys.
Indeed. Jamie Lawrence coming through the S's now. It has been 2 portrayals of honestly kind of a master class. You have, Ted Burns in race 1 definitely showing what he has, and Jamie Lawrence in race 2. He started second. He just needed to make one pass. He made it very early, and he has just set sail. Yes, Crump has gained a little bit, but that's simply because Lawrence has been mainly managing pace. He's been managing the car. He definitely doesn't want to throw away a very easy win, as he's coming on through that sweeping right-hander into the double apex left-hander that is Spoon. Coming straight on through, he brakes hard, hits that first apex, levels out, hits the second apex. So back on the throttle hard, a sprint towards 130R, and he is setting sail, Matthew.
Yeah, Jamie Lawrence just dominant in this second race of the night tonight. But some of the guys throughout the field who've kind of come through some adversity to have really good finishes. Thomas Crump in second place currently. Had an incident in race 1, fought back to a 5th place finish there. Started 8th in race 2, came back to 2nd in the second race tonight. So big shout out to Thomas Crump for fighting through some adversity. As Jamie Lawrence comes through the final corner now at Suzuka International Raceway, he will be our race 2 winner of the night as he takes the checkered flag for San Diego State University, weaving across the straight, showing his excitement and just absolute domination from the 007 car tonight. As Thomas Crump comes across the line now, about 5 seconds behind, followed by Ryan Whitlock to finish off your top 3.
Indeed, indeed. It looked like Nick Daly came home in P4, followed by Ted Burns in P5 right there. As we got Justin Roberts, it started in 10th. He'll come home to, looks like, finish in 8th position, or maybe take 7th after the Hunter Hardesty penalty. Don't know how that penalty is going to be assessed. He was given a black flag, but Justin Roberts had a good podium in race 1. Race 2 was mired a little bit back in traffic. More cars coming across the line now. Needless to say, at the end of the evening, I don't think there's going to be some happy campers. I mean, some people definitely had better races than others, but there was a few incidents that's going to leave a few drivers heated at the end of the evening. One within the Clemson garage, a couple definitely. 3 retirements: Ian Brown, Alex Helenar, Theo Leclerc. No happy campers there. They all retired. Maximilian Bowie and Hagen Johnson also ending up a lap down, not being able to finish the race entirely. As Daniel Rodriguez comes home in P14, that is the last rolling finisher of the last race of the evening. And we're going to hope to get the podium finishers here in for a post-race interview. As drivers are now beginning to leave the cars, they're going to go in for a discussion. Matthew Tucker is going away. What's going on there? But
Yeah, and so that was a pretty good one, Matt, from from those drivers. So with the note that Jamie Lawrence about swept the field in that second race, I tell you who I'm looking at is Ryan Whitlock, who was also able to move up. In fact, we're gonna check out the whole grid at this point, and so you can see there your race winner gonna be. Looks like that's the Heat 1 results, but your feature results should be Jamie Lawrence, San Diego State University, and Thomas Crump from Clemson University, second place. Your final podium finisher going to be Ryan Whitlock, bringing that Lamborghini all the way up from the Alabama Huntsville team. Nick Daly, Texas at Arlington. Ted Burns actually getting a great points night. First and fifth for Ted Burns from Wisconsin. Alexander Pacini from Santa Maria Federal. And Justin Roberts, Andrew Williams, both from Clemson. Jordan Rike from Alabama, in between Hunter Hardesty and Michael Tognati, also from Clemson, and Andrew Burrell. Alex Kogos in his debut, 13th Elgin Community College, and Daniel Rodriguez from Auburn University, going to bring that machine home in 14th. 15th place goes to USC's Max Bui after a difficult outing in the second run, and Hagen Johnson from Clemson in 16th position. Ian Brown from Mesa College going to be in 17th position, and Binghamton University Alex Hallinar. Tough start and an early out in Heat 2 despite a good round 1. That's going to be Alex Hallinar, and that's going to be your feature results for the second heat of our Suzuka event. And right now, I think that we are getting ready to interview these drivers. And so first up is going to be our winner, Jamie Lawrence. It's a pleasure to have you up here. It's been a minute, but no stranger to victory lane. Walk us through that race, and what were your thoughts when you were able to go through and put that car on the pole?
Yeah, long time no see, Josh. Good to talk to you. I just kind of joined this race last minute because I found out I was too late to go to a dinner, so I was pretty stoked I got to make it. And then I've never done this track and car combo, so the Porsche is kind of loosey goosey around here. It was pretty fun to try and learn in race 1. Kind of hopped in, so hopefully I didn't cause too much commotion. And then I started, I think finished P11, so I started PT for this race, and then got by Athena. And kind of just cruise from there. I think there was a couple incidents right behind me, so it was just kind of me trying to keep it on track. I had a couple slip ups here and there, but luckily saved them. But yeah, pretty happy with that.
Jamie, it was definitely fun to watch you drive through, drive a basically a cruise tonight. Was there any concern about a car behind catching you, or was it just really all about just cruising?
I mean, yeah, it's always a concern. I saw Ted Burns cruising up, so he was kind of on my radar. I saw his lap times were quicker, but and I think he either made a mistake or got in an incident or something. So it kind of went off my radar. And at that point, the top four seemed pretty consistent. So I was just kind of keeping it together, not making a mistake at the end there, just cruising to the end.
Yeah, Jamie, congratulations on the win tonight. We saw a lot of cars tonight have a bit of an adventure into the gravel traps or into the grass runoff. I think at a track like Suzuka where you have very little asphalt runoff, does that change your approach to just keeping your car on track, or are you still going flat out every lap?
Definitely around this track, I think this is the track that I've made the most mistakes at, just because there's so little margin for error. So I definitely try and keep it on the conservative side, especially with the Porsche. That thing can flip on you in a second. So yeah, with these kind of corners, I try and take it easy. Can't push too hard, otherwise I'll lose that victory.
Always a man cool under the helmet. Jamie, congratulations again. Who do you want to give a shout out to that makes this possible for you?
A shout out to the dad. Father's Day, probably checking it out. So hopefully he's having a good time after a great weekend.
There you go. That's the way to do it. So that is Jamie Lawrence. Congrats, Jamie. Enjoy it this evening. Jamie Lawrence from San Diego State University, guys, getting that top step on the podium. And that brings up our second place finisher. That's going to be Thomas Crump from Clemson University. And Thomas, congrats first off, second spot on the podium. Walk us through the evening, the events, and what do you think? What do you think of the team run tonight?
Yeah, thanks. Man, first race qualified well and had that little spin in 130R lap one and just spent the whole race in recovery mode. Ended up P3 in student class. That was really nice. And I was really interested to see how the invert would affect things. But I knew my pace was decent, tire wear wasn't that bad, and all that. And after some spins and some other events unfolded in front of me in the first few laps, I was P2 with Ryan chasing me down, and I spent the entire race looking in my relative, which is really bad, but I got away with it. Um, so pressure was on, but I made it work. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, Thomas, congratulations on the P2 finish tonight in race two. I know you mentioned, you had a spin in 130R early on in race one and went into recovery mode. Are you seeing red and you're focused on overtaking cars after this mistake, or are you just trying to consolidate what you had, run your own race, and let the race come to you?
More the latter there, I think. Especially what with the layout of this track and how difficult it can be to pass. I was wondering if I had any damage after that bump. It didn't feel like I did, but after the race, it looked like I had a little bodywork damage. So I don't know if that was hurting my straight line speed. Because the one or two times I was drafting somebody down the front straight, I wasn't gaining on him at all. And after all the places I made up in race one, I don't think any of them were actual passes. They were just freebies from other people's mistakes, which kind of sucks. But points are points. I'll take them. So
Oh, Thomas, I know you. You know me. It's great to see you up here carrying the OWR banner tonight in P2.
mhm.
It's driving real smart tonight. I do. I wish you could have won, but I mean, did you have anything for Jamie, or did you really just, think I'm in second place? I'm just gonna keep cruising here, and if something happens, it happens. But overall, I'm happy where I'm at.
Main goal was definitely trying to keep it clean. At first, I think behind me was actually Ted in front of Whitlock, and I was like, okay, I know Ted's going to catch me. I'm thinking about the championship. I just want the student points. So I didn't even say if to myself. I said when Ted catches me, I'll let him through. So that was the mindset. I was honestly not paying any attention to Jamie. But I did look after I'd kind of settled in that I was faster than him on a couple laps by a few tenths, but I don't think it was ever enough to really get me to push for that.
Well, Thomas, lastly, any shout outs you want to make tonight on the stream?
Yeah, actually, it's somehow it almost seems weird, but at the same time, not that this is the first time I've ended up doing an interview for anything sim racing ever. But yeah, so shout out to any friends that may be watching, and I did send my parents the link to this stream for the first time, so hopefully they're watching. If so, shout out. Hi mom, hi dad. Yeah, and shout out to you guys for keeping everything running.
Of course. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, my friend. We'll have a team debrief later, but as always, keep racing.
All right, thank you guys. See you.
His car.
Oh,
And that was second place. Thomas Crump carrying the banner for Clemson University tonight. Pretty solid move from those guys. Third place finisher going to be Ryan Whitlock. And it looks like crew chief Matthew Tucker in at the moment. But yeah, Matthew, what do you think?
It's me. So fun story. Get home from work tonight and my computer's not booting up. I think the power supply is dying. So message in the Charter Motorsports Discord. Matthew's like, text me the password. Just come on over, quick as you can. I'll just let you use my rig. So here I am on a rig that I'm not familiar with a wheel that I'm not familiar with, and I still somehow pulled podium out of my butt.
There you go. That's the way to do it. But congratulations, man, on third place. You're running through this season. What'd you learn tonight? Maybe you just learned about your new setup tonight. But yeah, how was the racing on track?
Well, first thing I learned, I need to buy a new power supply. But racing was all right. Race 1, I just needed to get into that top 12. That was the only goal. Race 1. And race 2, that incident with Athena and Maxi was unfortunate, and I ended up with front end damage. But almost had enough for Crump at the end, but I was losing some straight line speed with the damage, so I just brought home the top 3 and all the points I could with a very much recovery race.
Indeed. Brian, you and me, we're good buddies. How does it feel to carry the Charger Motorsports banner, of course? But you did end up behind an Orangeville racing machine. Is there any animosity there? You looking forward to next race, trying to beat them soundly? But overall, good run for you. But how'd you overall feel about the second race?
Yeah, I made some setup changes, and thanks, Nick. You know, reminding me that I finished behind one of your teammates. I'm playing. But you know, unfamiliar setup, like I said, new rig, FOV that I wasn't even used to. So I'll take those points, and I consider both Barber and Road Atlanta home tracks. So hoping to have a good showing there and have a fun end to the season.
Yeah, Ryan, congratulations on the third place again tonight. Two very strong and consistent races for me tonight in both race 1 and 2. You came into the night leading the road points for the student class. I don't know the calculations off the top of my head, but you're pretty high up there coming out of the race tonight. What do you think your chances are at finishing out this season strong and winning that student championship?
I think my chances are pretty good. We'll see how quick Amazon shipping is. But like I said, I consider both those tracks my home tracks, and I'm gonna push hard to try and do what I need to do to bring it home for the team.
Yeah, well, congratulations again, Ryan. Before we send you on your way tonight, anybody you want to thank or shout out on the stream?
Gotta thank Matthew Tucker for texting me, letting me come over, use his stuff on literally a moment's notice. Gotta thank everyone at Charger Motorsports. It's a wonderful team, it's a wonderful club, and I'm happy to represent them everywhere I go. Also want to thank Jordan Ricky for giving me a little race 1 support and joining me this season. Just yeah, all the guys at Charger Motorsports.
Well, Ryan, congratulations again, and hope you take it easy the rest of the evening.
Thank you very much. Have a good one, guys.
That was our third place finisher of the night in race 2, Ryan Whitlock for Charger Motorsports out of the University of Alabama at Huntsville. Well, Josh, I thought we had a pretty entertaining race, 2 races tonight. How do you view them?
Yeah, I agree. I think that we understood second race was going to be a little bit more exciting. I'll tell you what, that chicane, it's got some history, and we add to it every time that final chicane where these drivers continue to discuss their thoughts on how those passes should go. and a lot of late breakers and some overshoots from a variety of drivers. So that probably wasn't on my bingo card for the evening, but everything else, we expected some cars to jump over some curbs. We saw that 130R there in the second sector, the Danger curves there. And so I think that was pretty on brand. Nick, let us know what you think.
I think its second race definitely got a little bit more aggressive. Definitely not at the front. The front seemed pretty straightforward, but definitely in the middle, a lot of cars were making some moves that I don't know what was going on tonight. I think people took some aggression pills beforehand, but we saw Maximilian Bowie, someone who's usually calculated. He made a massive error there with a attempted double overtake that just didn't work. Hunter Haddesty, he just decided to bulldoze Hagan Johnson. I mean, I think from the second race tonight, I definitely took that a lot of cars just simply it. I didn't know Suzuka could show some short track racing, but I guess that's exactly what just happened.
Yeah, and I think we've already discussed in a couple of those moves. Bowie, not really going for the double pass, but trying to get the first pass done, and then a couple there. And yeah, it's hard to find these breaking points, especially at Suzuka here, where you're never coming right up on a curve. You're always coming out of a sweeping curve or trying to get lined up for the next corner. And so with that weight transfer, trying to get on the brakes at the right time, that's how this track generates so many late breaking incidences and collections at the apex. And I think that's our thoughts for the evening. And tune in next week. We go to Auto Club for the Oval Series in 7 days' time. The next gen cars take on the big 2-mile track, and it's going to be fast. It's going to be fun. So, from us here at CIL, up in the booth, on the track, and all around, thank you for hanging out with us, tuning in, and we'll see you next week.